My daughter hasn't called me Mama in 3 years. She calls me Rudy now, like I'm a colleague she's forced to work with. I'm sitting in my kitchen in Oakland, California. It's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even come up yet, but I've been awake for hours. My phone is on the table in front of me. 14 missed calls from the last month. None of them from Shanice. I pick up my coffee. It's gone cold. I don't remember making it. Last week, my granddaughter Zara called me. She's 17. Sweet girl. Smart. She wants to be an artist, though Lord knows I don't understand how anyone makes a living doing that. But that's not what she called about. "Grandma Rudy," she said, her voice careful, like she was stepping around broken glass. "Why does Mom cry every time she hangs up with you?" I didn't have an answer. I still don't. But sitting here in the dark, looking at my reflection in the kitchen window, I finally understand something I should have seen a long time ago. I became exactly what I swore I'd never be. Let me take you back, because this story doesn't start with me. It starts with my mother. My mama's name was Lorraine Mae Robinson, born in 1935 in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She died 10 years ago, in 2010, in a hospital bed in Oakland, holding my hand but never quite looking at me. Even at the end, Mama couldn't meet my eyes when she said goodbye. She was 14 when her own mother died. 14 years old, and suddenly she was the woman of the house. 5 younger brothers and sisters. A father who worked at the lumber mill and came home too tired to do anything but eat and sleep. So Mama cooked. Mama cleaned. Mama raised those babies like they were her own. She never got to finish school. She never got to be young. When she was 19, she married my father, James Robinson. He was handsome, charming, worked at the Ford plant in Detroit for exactly 8 months before he decided factory work wasn't for him. By then, Mama was pregnant with my oldest brother, Raymond. My father left in 1962. I was 6 years old. Mama was 27, with 6 children under the age of 12. She didn't cry, at least not where we could see her. She just went to work. She worked as a housekeeper for a white family in Bloomfield Hills. The Caldwells. Big house. 4 bedrooms. She cleaned their toilets, washed their floors, ironed Mr. Caldwell's shirts every Sunday night for 40 years. Mrs. Caldwell used to tell her friends, "Lorraine is like family." But Mama still had to use the back door, and she still got paid minimum wage until 1998. Mama never complained. She just worked. And that's how she loved us. Through work, through sacrifice, through making sure we had food on the table and shoes on our feet, even if she went without. But she never said the words. She never said, "I love you, baby." She never said, "I'm proud of you." She never hugged us, not really. A quick pat on the shoulder, maybe. A hand on your head if you were lucky. I remember one time, I must have been 10 years old, I brought home my report card. Straight A's. Every single subject. I was so proud. I ran all the way home from school, clutching that paper, thinking, this is it. This is the one that'll make Mama smile. I burst through the door. "Mama, Mama, look!" She was at the stove, stirring a pot of greens. She wiped her hands on her apron and took the paper from me. She looked at it for a long time. I held my breath. Finally, she handed it back. "That's good, Rudy," she said. "Your brother Raymond got all A's at your age, too, and he did his chores without being asked." Then she went back to stirring. I went to my room and cried into my pillow so she wouldn't hear me. But I didn't understand it then. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought if I just worked harder, did better, maybe she'd finally be proud. It took me 50 years to realize. Mama was proud. She just didn't know how to say it, because nobody ever said it to her. The only time I ever saw my mother smile, I mean really smile, was the day I got my acceptance letter from UCLA. It was 1974. I was 18 years old. The letter came in the mail. I tore it open right there on the porch, my hands shaking. "Dear Miss Robinson, we are pleased to inform you," I screamed. I actually screamed. I ran inside, waving that letter like it was a winning lottery ticket. "Mama, Mama, I got into UCLA." She was folding laundry. She stopped. She took the letter. She read it. And for just a second, maybe 2 seconds, I saw it. A smile. A real one. It lit up her whole face. Then it was gone. "Don't waste it," she said. She handed the letter back and picked up another towel to fold. That was it. That was the proudest moment of my life, and all I got was "don't waste it." But you know what? I didn't waste it. I went to UCLA. I worked 2 jobs to pay for books and rent because Mama couldn't help, not with 5 other kids to feed. I studied accounting because Mama said, "Get a degree that'll get you a job." I graduated in 1978, top 15% of my class. Mama came to the graduation. She sat in the back. She didn't clap when I walked across the stage. Her hands stayed folded in her lap, but she came. And when we took a picture afterward, she stood next to me, stiff as a board, but she was there. I thought that was love. I thought presence was enough. I didn't know I'd do the exact same thing to my daughter 25 years later. I met Darnell Johnson in 1980. I was working at an accounting firm in downtown LA. He was a civil engineer. White man, tall, glasses, kind eyes. Mama didn't approve. She didn't say it directly, of course. But when I brought him home for Sunday dinner, she was quieter than usual. And when we left, she pulled me aside. "You sure about him?" she asked. "Yes, Mama. He's not like us." "I know, Mama." She looked at me for a long time. Then she nodded. "All right, just don't forget where you come from." I didn't. But I also didn't understand what she meant. Not then. Darnell and I got married in 1981. Small ceremony. Mama came, but she didn't smile in any of the pictures. She just stood there, hands folded like she was at a funeral. Shanice was born a year later, August 14th, 1982. 7 pounds, 6 ounces. She came out crying, and she didn't stop for 3 months. I loved her so much it hurt. I remember holding her in the hospital, looking down at her tiny face and thinking, "I'm going to give you everything I never had." And I did. God help me, I did. But I also gave her everything I did have, including the parts I should have left behind. Shanice was smart. So smart. She started reading at 4 years old. By 1st grade, she was reading chapter books. Her teachers said she was gifted. I was so proud. But I was also terrified. Because I knew what the world did to smart black girls. I knew how hard she'd have to work just to be seen as half as good as her white classmates. I knew she couldn't afford to be average. She had to be excellent. So I pushed her. When she brought home a test with a 95, I said, "What happened to the other 5 points?" When she made the honor roll, I said, "Your cousin Malik made principal's honor roll." When she got into the magnet school for middle school, I said, "Good, now don't mess it up." I thought I was preparing her. I thought I was making her strong. I didn't realize I was breaking her. We paid $180,000 for Shanice to go to private school from kindergarten through 12th grade. Not we, mostly me. Darnell helped, but I was the one working 60-hour weeks. I was the one who started my own consulting firm, Johnson & Associates Financial, in 1995. I was the one who sacrificed vacations, new clothes, a bigger house, so my daughter could have the best education money could buy. And she did great. Straight A's all through high school. Student council. Debate team. Volunteer work. She got into Columbia University in 2000. Full scholarship. We were so proud. Darnell cried when she opened the letter. I didn't cry. I just nodded. "Columbia is great," I said. "But you know your father really wanted you to try for Harvard." I saw her face fall, just for a second. Then she smiled and said, "Yeah, I know. I didn't think anything of it. I thought I was being honest. I thought I was helping her see where she could improve. I didn't know I was telling her she wasn't enough." Shanice went to Columbia. She majored in political science. She graduated in 2004, top of her class. She got into Columbia Law School. When she told me, I said, "That's wonderful, baby. You're going to make a great lawyer." But then I added, "Just make sure you don't take too long. 3 years is a long time. Your cousin Jasmine finished law school in 2.5. Shanice didn't say anything. She just nodded. She graduated law school in 2007, passed the bar on her first try, got a job at a civil rights firm in Oakland. She called me the day she got the offer. "Mom, I got the job. I'm going to be a civil rights attorney, just like I always wanted." "That's great, baby," I said. I was genuinely happy. I was. But then I said, "Just remember, civil rights law doesn't pay as much as corporate law. Are you sure you want to do that?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Yeah, Mom, I'm sure." "Okay, just making sure you thought it through." Another pause. I did. We hung up. I went back to work. I didn't think about it again. I didn't know that was the day she stopped calling me to share good news. Shanice got married in 2005 during her second year of law school. His name was Trevor Williams. He was a music teacher. Sweet man, patient. He played guitar and sang at their wedding. I liked him. I did. But I also thought Shanice could have done better. I didn't say it to her face, but I said it to my sister Paulette at the reception. He's nice, I said, watching Trevor dance with Shanice on the floor. But a music teacher? Really? She's going to be a lawyer. She needs someone more ambitious. Paulette gave me a look. Rudy, that man loves her. Isn't that enough? Love doesn't pay the bills, I said. Paulette shook her head and walked away. I didn't understand why she was mad. I was just being practical. Shanice heard me, though. She was walking past our table on her way to the bathroom. She stopped. She looked at me. Mom, did you just— What, baby? She stared at me for a long moment. Then she shook her head. Nothing. Never mind. She walked away. I should have followed her. I should have asked what was wrong, but I didn't. I just went back to my cake. Shanice had her first child in 2007. Zara. Beautiful baby girl. She had Shanice's eyes and Trevor's smile. When Shanice called to tell me she was taking a year off work to stay home with the baby, I was shocked. A whole year? I said. Shanice, that's going to hurt your career. I was back at work 6 weeks after you were born. I know, Mom, but I want to be with her. But, Mom, I've made up my mind. Okay, baby, I just want what's best for you. She didn't respond. She just said she had to go and hung up. 5 years later, when Shanice enrolled Zara in public school instead of private school, I couldn't believe it. Public school? I said. After everything I sacrificed to give you private education? Mom, the public school in our neighborhood is excellent. Zara will be fine. But, Mom, please, this is my decision. I didn't push, but I let her know I didn't approve. I said it to Darnell. I said it to Paulette. I said it to my friends at church. Can you believe it? Public school. After everything. I didn't understand why Shanice stopped inviting me to Zara's school events after that. The years went by. Shanice and I talked less and less. We saw each other at holidays, but it was always tense. She was polite but distant, like there was a wall between us. I didn't know why. I thought maybe she was just busy. She had 2 kids, Zara and Elijah, born in 2010. She was working long hours at the firm. She had a lot on her plate. I tried to help. I really did. But every time I offered advice, she shut down. Shanice, maybe if you worked a little harder, you'd make partner by now. Mom, I don't want to make partner. I like what I'm doing. But wouldn't it be better to— Mom, please, I'm fine. She always said she was fine, but I could hear it in her voice. She wasn't fine. I just didn't know what was wrong. And then, 3 months ago, everything fell apart. It was Zara's 17th birthday. October 12th. I didn't get an invitation to the party. I found out about it on Facebook. Shanice had posted pictures. Zara blowing out candles on a big chocolate cake. Trevor's parents laughing in the background. Friends from school. Family I didn't recognize. But I wasn't there. I stared at those pictures for an hour. Then I called Shanice. It was 11 o'clock at night. She answered on the 4th ring. Mom? I saw the pictures, I said. My voice was shaking. You didn't invite me to my own granddaughter's birthday? There was a long pause. Mom, I knew you'd just what? Just want to be there? I'm her grandmother, Shanice. You'd just compare her to someone else. You'd comment on her weight or her grades or ask why she's not applying to Stanford. That's not fair. Isn't it? Her voice cracked. Mom, you do it every time. Every single time. You can't just be happy for us. You always have to point out what we're doing wrong. I only want the best for you, I said. No, Mom. She was crying now. You want us to be perfect, and we can't be. We're never going to be perfect. And I'm done. Done with what? Done trying to earn your love. The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, holding the phone, staring at nothing. That was 3 months ago. We haven't spoken since. I've picked up the phone 100 times. I've typed out texts and deleted them. I've driven past her house, but I never stopped. Because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't even know what I'd done wrong. But then last week, something happened. I went to a wedding. My old friend Dolores Martinez, her daughter Angela, was getting married. I've known Dolores since 1980. We worked together at the same accounting firm. Our daughters are the same age. We used to joke that they'd grow up to be best friends. They didn't. Because while Dolores and Angela are still close, Shanice and I aren't. The wedding was beautiful. Angela looked radiant. During the reception, she stood up to give a speech. "Mom," Angela said, her voice full of emotion, "you weren't perfect. You worked night shifts. You missed some of my soccer games. But you never missed telling me you loved me. You never made me feel like I had to earn your pride. Thank you for seeing me." Dolores stood up and hugged her daughter. Both of them were crying. The whole room erupted in applause. I sat in the corner, clapping along with everyone else. But inside, I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. When was the last time I told Shanice I loved her? When was the last time I told her I was proud of her? Not proud of her accomplishments, but proud of her? When was the last time I just saw her? I couldn't remember. I left the wedding early. I drove home in silence. I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes, staring at my hands on the steering wheel. And for the first time in my life, I asked myself a question I'd been too afraid to ask. Am I the problem? The next morning, I woke up with a headache. I'd been up half the night thinking about Angela's speech, thinking about Dolores, thinking about the way they'd hugged each other, so easy, so natural. When was the last time I'd hugged Shanice like that? I couldn't remember. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, looked at my phone. No messages. I opened Facebook, scrolled through Shanice's page. She hadn't posted much lately. A few pictures of Zara at a soccer game, one of Elijah playing piano, one of her and Trevor at some restaurant, smiling at the camera. She looked happy. Happier than I'd seen her in years, and I wasn't in any of it. I thought about calling her, but what would I say? "I'm sorry you felt left out of Zara's birthday?" No. That sounded like I was blaming her. "I'm sorry I didn't get an invitation?" No. That sounded passive-aggressive. "I'm sorry I'm not perfect?" No. That sounded defensive. I put the phone down, picked it back up, put it down again. Finally, I called my sister Paulette. "Rudy?" She sounded surprised. We didn't talk much these days. "Everything okay?" "I don't know," I said. My voice cracked. "Paulette, I think I messed up." There was a pause. Then gently, "With Shanice?" "Yeah." "What happened?" I told her everything. The birthday party, the phone call, the 3 months of silence. Paulette listened. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. "Paulette?" "I'm here," she sighed. "Rudy, can I ask you something?" "Yeah." "When was the last time you told Shanice you were proud of her?" I opened my mouth, then closed it. I tell her all the time." "No," Paulette said, her voice soft but firm. "When was the last time you told her you were proud of her without a but after it?" I didn't answer. "That's what I thought," Paulette said. "Rudy, you love that girl. I know you do. But baby, you've got to learn how to show it." "I do show it," I said. My voice was getting defensive. "I paid for her education. I helped her with law school. You gave her things, Rudy. But did you ever just see her? Did you ever tell her she was enough?" The words hit me like a slap. I don't. Rudy." Paulette's voice was gentle now. "You sound just like Mama." I hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall. "You sound just like Mama." No, I wasn't like Mama. I'd done everything differently. I'd given Shanice the best education, the best opportunities. I'd told her I loved her. I'd been there, hadn't I? I got up, walked to my bedroom, opened the closet, pulled down a box from the top shelf. Inside were old letters, cards, photos. I found what I was looking for. A letter Shanice wrote me when she was 18, right before she left for Columbia. I unfolded it. The paper was yellowed, creased from being folded and refolded. "Dear Mom, thank you for everything. I know you worked hard for me. I know you sacrificed a lot so I could go to Columbia. I promise I'll make you proud. I'll study hard. I'll get good grades. I'll make something of myself. I won't let you down. Love, Shanice." I read it 3 times. Then I noticed something I'd never noticed before. She didn't write "I love you." She wrote "Love, Shanice," like a signature, like a closing on a business letter. And she didn't write "I'll make you happy" or I'll make myself proud. She wrote, I'll make you proud. Even at 18, my daughter thought her only job was to make me proud. I folded the letter, put it back in the box, sat down on the bed. And for the first time in 68 years, I let myself see it. I was my mother. I had done to Shanice exactly what Mama had done to me. I had loved her through work, through sacrifice, through pushing and correcting and molding, but I had never just loved her for being. I didn't know what to do with that realization, so I did what I always do when I'm overwhelmed. I went to church. It was a Wednesday night. Bible study. I sat in the back, half listening to Pastor Williams talk about forgiveness. After the service, I stayed behind, sat in the empty sanctuary, staring at the cross. A voice broke the silence. Rudy, you all right? I turned. It was Diane Freeman. We'd known each other for years. She was a therapist, worked with kids and families. I'm fine, I said automatically. She sat down next to me. You don't look fine. I wanted to tell her to mind her business, but instead I found myself asking, Diane, do you ever work with adults? Like older adults? Sometimes. Why? I hesitated. Then, my daughter won't talk to me, and I don't know how to fix it. Diane nodded slowly. How long has it been? 3 months. Do you know why she's upset? I stopped. I thought I did, but now I'm not so sure. Diane was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Rudy, can I tell you something I see a lot in my work? Okay. A lot of parents, especially our generation, we were raised to believe that love is sacrifice, that if we worked hard enough, gave our kids enough, they'd know we loved them. I nodded. That was exactly what I believed. But here's the thing, Diane continued. Kids don't experience love the way we think they do. They don't feel loved because you paid for their education. They feel loved when you tell them you're proud of them, when you hug them, when you see them for who they are, not who you want them to be. Her words echoed Paulette's, echoed Angela's speech. So what do? I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. You listen, Diane said. Really listen. Not to defend yourself, not to explain, just to hear what she has to say. What if she doesn't want to talk to me? Then you wait, and you keep trying. But Rudy, she put a hand on my shoulder. You have to be willing to hear things that might hurt. I nodded, but inside I was terrified. That night I tried to call Shanice. It rang 4 times, then voicemail. Hi, you've reached Shanice. Leave a message. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Hung up. What was I supposed to say? I tried again the next day. Same thing. Voicemail. I sent a text. Baby, can we talk? 6 hours later, she replied, I'm busy, Mom. That was it. I stared at those 3 words for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my granddaughter. Zara answered on the second ring. Hi, Grandma Rudy. Her voice was bright, sweet. She didn't sound angry. Hi, baby, how are you? I'm good, just doing homework. On a Friday night? She laughed. Yeah, I know, but I have an art project due Monday and I procrastinated. Art project, that sounds fun. It is. I'm doing a series on generational trauma. I blinked. On what? Generational trauma, like patterns that get passed down through families. Hurt that gets repeated. My heart started pounding. That's a heavy topic for a high school project. Yeah, but it's important. She paused. Actually, Grandma, can I ask you something? Of course, baby. Why doesn't Mom talk to you anymore? The question hit me like a freight train. I don't know, Zara. Do you want to know? Yes. Then you should ask her, but really ask, not the way you usually do. What do you mean? Zara was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was gentle. Grandma, do you really not know? No, I whispered. I don't. You hurt her, Zara said, a lot, and you never apologized. Hurt her how? I gave her everything. You gave her things, Grandma. You never gave her you. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Zara, I love you, Grandma, but you need to hear this. Mom spent her whole life trying to make you proud, and you never told her she was enough. My hand was shaking. She told you that? She didn't have to. I can see it. Zara's voice softened. Mom's in therapy now. Has been for 5 years. She's working through a lot of stuff. Therapy? I was shocked. For what? For you, Grandma. For the way she grew up. For the way she feels like she's never good enough. The phone almost slipped from my hand. I didn't know, I said. My voice was barely audible. I know. That's the problem. We sat in silence for a moment. Zara, what do I do? You apologize, for real. Not I'm sorry you feel that way, just I'm sorry. No buts, no excuses. Okay. And Grandma? Yeah? You have to mean it. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for hours. Shanice was in therapy for 5 years because of me. I thought about all the times I'd corrected her, compared her, pushed her. I thought I was helping. I thought I was making her stronger. But I was breaking her. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about what Zara said. You gave her things. You never gave her you. At 3 a.m, I got up, turned on the light, pulled out a notebook. I started writing. Not a letter, not yet. Just a list. Things I said to Shanice. What happened to the other 5 points? When she got a 95 on a test. Your cousin Malik made principal's honor roll. When she made regular honor roll. Don't mess it up. When she got into Columbia. Your father wanted you to try for Harvard. When she got into Columbia. Are you sure about civil rights law? It doesn't pay as much. When she got her dream job. He's nice, but a music teacher? About Trevor, at her wedding. A whole year off? That's going to hurt your career. When she took maternity leave. Public school? After everything I sacrificed? When she enrolled Zara. I stared at the list. Every single thing I'd said was meant to help, to guide, to prepare her for the world. But all she heard was, "You're not enough." I put my head in my hands and cried. The next morning I went for a walk. I needed air. I needed to think. I walked through my neighborhood in Oakland, past the corner store where I'd bought Shanice candy when she was little, past the park where she used to play. Everything reminded me of her. I found myself at Lake Merritt, sat on a bench, watched the geese. An older woman sat down next to me. She must have been in her 80s. She had kind eyes. "Beautiful morning," she said. "Yeah," I said. We sat in silence for a while. Then she asked, "You look troubled. Everything all right?" I don't know why I told her. Maybe because she was a stranger. Maybe because I was desperate. "My daughter won't talk to me," I said. "And it's my fault." The woman nodded. "What happened?" I pushed her too hard. I wanted her to be perfect, and now she's gone." "Have you told her you're sorry?" "I tried to call. She won't answer." The woman smiled sadly. "Sometimes sorry isn't enough. Sometimes you have to show them you've changed." "How do I do that?" "You listen. You give her space. And when she's ready, you meet her where she is. Not where you want her to be." I looked at her. "You sound like you've been through this." "I have." She looked out at the lake. "I didn't speak to my daughter for 10 years. 10 years, because I was too proud to admit I was wrong." "What happened?" "She got sick, cancer, and I realized I'd wasted 10 years being stubborn." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "She's okay now, in remission, but those 10 years, I'll never get them back." She stood up, patted my shoulder. "Don't waste time, honey. Life's too short." Then she walked away. I sat there for another hour. Then I went home, sat down at my desk, and I started to write. "Shanice, I don't understand why you're so angry. I only wanted the best for you. I worked hard to give you opportunities I never had. I don't think it's fair for you to blame me for that. Can we please talk?" "Mom," I read it, crumpled it up, threw it away. That wasn't an apology. That was a defense. "Shanice, I'm sorry if I hurt you. I didn't mean to. Maybe I pushed too hard, but you turned out great, didn't you? You have a good career, a good family. So it worked out. Can we move past this?" "Mom," I read it, crumpled it up, still defensive, still making excuses. I sat there for a long time staring at the blank page. Then I thought about what Diane said, what Zara said, what that woman at the lake said. "You have to mean it." I took a deep breath, and I started again. "Shanice, I need to tell you something I should have said 42 years ago. I was wrong. I thought love was making sure you had everything I didn't have. The best schools, the best opportunities. I thought love was pushing you to be better, stronger, smarter. I didn't know love was also supposed to be soft. My mother never told me she loved me. She never hugged me. She never said I'm proud of you without a but. I told myself I would be different. But baby, I wasn't. I just gave you a bigger cage. I compared you. I corrected you. I made you feel like you were never enough. And the truth is, you were always enough. You were more than enough. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I need you to know, I am proud of you. Not because you went to Columbia, not because you're a lawyer, but because you are kind. You are strong. You are a beautiful mother. And I am sorry I never told you that. I love you, Shanice. I have always loved you. I just never learned how to show it. Your mama, I read it. My hands were shaking. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. I folded it, put it in an envelope, wrote her address. Then I sat there, holding it, afraid to let it go. Because once I mailed this letter, there was no taking it back. What if she didn't respond? What if she read it and threw it away? What if this made things worse? I thought about that woman at the lake. Don't waste time. I put on my coat, walked to the post office, stood at the mailbox. My hand hovered over the slot. Do it, I told myself. Just do it. I dropped the letter in, and then I waited. 4 days passed. No response. I checked my phone every hour. Nothing. I checked the mail. Nothing. I tried not to panic, but every day that passed felt like a year. On the 5th day, my phone rang. It was Shanice. My heart stopped. I stared at her name on the screen. Then I answered. Hello? My voice was shaking. I got your letter. Silence. I didn't know what to say. Baby, can we talk? She asked. In person? Yes. I nearly sobbed the word. Yes. Anytime. Please. There was a pause. Then, Saturday, 10 a.m., the coffee shop at Lake Merritt. Okay. But Mom, her voice was firm. I need you to just listen. Can you do that? Not explain, not defend, just listen. I took a shaky breath. Yes, I can do that. Okay. Another pause. I'll see you Saturday. Shanice? Yeah? Thank you. She hung up. I sat down, put my head in my hands. She was willing to talk. That was more than I deserved. But it was also the most terrifying thing I'd ever faced. Because for the first time in my life, I was going to have to listen without defending myself. I was going to have to hear the truth about what I'd done. And I didn't know if I was strong enough. The next 2 days were the longest of my life. I barely slept. I kept rehearsing what I would say, how I would sit, how I would react. But every time I imagined it, I got scared. What if she told me things I didn't want to hear? What if she said I was a bad mother? What if she said she didn't forgive me? What if I broke down? What if I got defensive? I called Diane. Rudy, you okay? I'm seeing Shanice on Saturday. To talk. That's wonderful. I'm terrified. I know. That's normal. What if I mess it up? Diane was quiet for a moment. Rudy, can I tell you something? Yeah. The fact that you're terrified means you care. That's good. Use that fear. Let it remind you to listen. Okay. And Rudy? Yeah? Whatever she says, don't interrupt. Don't explain. Just let her speak. She needs to be heard. What if what she says hurts? Then let it hurt. You can heal from hurt. You can't heal from silence. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Okay. You've got this. I hoped she was right. Saturday morning came. I woke up at 5 a.m. Couldn't go back to sleep. I took a shower, changed clothes 3 times. Finally settled on a simple blue blouse and black pants. I left the house at 9. The coffee shop was only 15 minutes away, but I didn't want to be late. I got there at 9:30, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, sat at a table by the window, and I waited. At exactly 10 o'clock, the door opened, and there she was, my daughter. She looked tired, but she was there. She saw me, walked over, sat down. We stared at each other for a long moment. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. Another silence. Then Shanice took a deep breath. I've been in therapy for 5 years, she said. I nodded. Zara told me. Did she tell you why? I hesitated. She said, because of me. Shanice nodded. Yeah, because of you. The words hurt, but I didn't flinch. Okay, I said. Tell me. And she did. Shanice took a sip of her coffee, put it down, looked at me. I've been in therapy for 5 years, she said again. And for the first 3 years I couldn't even say your name without crying. I felt my chest tighten, but I'd promised to listen, so I nodded. Go on, she took a breath. Do you remember my 8th grade science fair? I searched my memory. I think so. I won first place, she said. I built a working solar panel out of household materials. I was so proud. I'd worked on it for 2 months. I nodded slowly. It was coming back to me. You picked me up from school that day. I ran to the car with my blue ribbon. I was so excited I could barely breathe. Her voice cracked. And you looked at it. You said, "That's nice, Shanice. Did you finish your math homework?" The memory hit me like a punch. I did say that. I remembered now. I went to my room and cried that night, Shanice continued. I thought I'd disappointed you somehow. I thought winning wasn't enough. Baby, I didn't mean... She held up a hand. You promised to listen. I closed my mouth, nodded. Do you remember when I got into Columbia? Of course. I called you from school. I was screaming into the phone. Mom, I got in. I was so happy. She wiped her eyes. And you said, good. Now don't mess it up. I felt shame wash over me, but I didn't speak. I wanted you to say you were proud, Shanice said. I wanted you to scream with me, to be excited. Instead, you went back to cooking dinner like I just told you I finished my homework. She was crying now, but she kept going. And my wedding. God, Mom, my wedding. I braced myself. You spent the whole day criticizing me. My dress was too tight. The flowers were too expensive. I should have invited more of your friends. The music was too loud. Trevor's family was too casual. I was just trying to... You never told me I looked beautiful. Her voice broke completely. Trevor's mom did. She hugged me and said, you are radiant, baby. But you? My own mother? You straightened my veil and told me to stand up straighter. I couldn't hold back anymore. Tears were streaming down my face. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm not done, Shanice said. I nodded, wiped my face. Every achievement, every milestone, every moment I wanted to share with you. You found something wrong. Something I could have done better. Someone else who did it better. She pulled out her phone, opened her notes app. I made a list. After my last therapy session, my therapist, Dr. Okafor, asked me to write down specific moments. So I did. She started reading. Age 10, I got led in the school play. You said, that's great, but your cousin Maya got led in a scholarship. Age 13, I made the honor roll. You said Malik made principal's honor roll. What happened? Age 16, I got a 98 on my SAT practice test. You said 2 more points and it would have been perfect. Age 23, I graduated Columbia Law School, top of my class. You said, that's wonderful. Your cousin Jasmine finished in 2.5 years instead of 3. With each one, I felt like I was being cut, but she kept going. Age 29, I married the love of my life. You told Aunt Paulette you wished I'd found someone more ambitious. Age 35, I took a year off to be with my newborn daughter. You said a whole year? I was back at work in 6 weeks. Age 40, I won the biggest case of my career. Changed 400 families' lives. You said, that's nice. Did you see Jasmine just made partner? She put her phone down, looked at me. Do you see it now, Mom? Do you see what you did? I couldn't speak. I could barely breathe. I need to know something, Shanice said, her voice shaking. Did you ever see me? Not the version you wanted. Not the Columbia graduate. Not the lawyer. Just me. Did you ever just love me for me? The question shattered me, because the answer was yes. Of course it was yes. But I had never told her. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She was 42 years old, beautiful, strong, successful, and she had spent her entire life believing she wasn't enough, because of me. Yes, I sassy said. My voice was barely a whisper. Every single day, from the moment you were born. Then why didn't you tell me? She was sobbing now. Why did you make me feel like I had to earn it? Because... I stopped, took a breath. Because my mother never told me. And I thought if I could give you everything she didn't give me, the education, the money, the opportunities. That would be enough. I thought that was love. It wasn't, Shanice said. It wasn't enough, Mom. I know. The words came out broken. I know that now. We sat in silence. The coffee shop buzzed around us, people ordering lattes, laughing, living normal lives. And we sat in the wreckage of ours. Finally, I spoke. You're right. Shanice looked up. You're right, I said again. And I'm sorry. I didn't add anything else. No but, no I was trying my best, no you have to understand. Just, you're right, and I'm sorry. Shanice stared at me, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. You deserved better, I continued. My voice was shaking but steady. You deserved a mother who told you she loved you every day, who hugged you, who celebrated you without comparing you to anyone else, who saw you, just you, and said, you are enough. I reached across the table, took her hand. I failed you, baby. I failed you in the worst way a mother can fail her daughter. And I am so, so sorry. Shanice's face crumpled. She pulled her hand back, covered her face, and she wept. Not quiet tears, full body-shaking sobs. I stood up, walked around the table, and I did something I hadn't done since she was a little girl. I pulled her into my arms. She resisted for a second, then she collapsed into me. And we stood there in the middle of that coffee shop, holding each other, crying. I forgive you, she whispered into my shoulder. You don't have to. I do, she said. Because I need to stop this. For Zara, for Elijah. I don't want them to feel what I felt. We pulled apart, sat back down. I handed her a napkin. She wiped her face, laughed a little. I'm a mess. So am I. We smiled at each other, small tentative smiles. Then Shanice said something that changed everything. Mom, I need to tell you something. What is it, baby? Shanice took a shaky breath. Zara doesn't want to go to college. I blinked. What? She wants to go to art school. She wants to be an artist. I opened my mouth, closed it. Every instinct in me wanted to say art? That's not practical. She needs a real degree. But I didn't. Okay, I said carefully. What did you tell her? Shanice looked down at her hands. At first, I told her no. I told her art wasn't a real career, that she needed to think about her future, that she should at least get a business degree as a backup. My heart sank. Oh, Shanice, I know, she said quickly. I heard the words coming out of my mouth and I froze, because I sounded exactly like you. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes again. I was doing it, Mom. I was doing to her what you did to me. And I didn't even realize it until the words were already out. What did you do? I asked softly. I stopped. I took a breath, and I thought about how you made me feel, how I spent my whole life trying to be enough for you. And I realized I don't want Zara to feel that way about me. So what did you say? Shanice smiled, a real smile. I said, baby, if art makes you happy, do art. I'm proud of you no matter what. I felt something break open in my chest. Relief, pride, hope. And you know what she said? Shanice continued. What? She said, really, Mom? You mean it? Like she couldn't believe I was saying yes, like she'd been bracing for a fight. Shanice wiped her eyes. She's 17 years old and she was already afraid of disappointing me. We sat with that for a moment. You broke the cycle, I said quietly. We both did, Shanice said. You by writing that letter, by being here, by listening, and me by not repeating it with my kids. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded piece of paper. Dr. Okafor asked me to write you a letter a few months ago. She said I didn't have to send it. It was just for me, to help me process. Can I read it? I asked. She hesitated, then handed it to me. I unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky, like she'd been crying when she wrote it. Mom, I got into Columbia because you wanted it, not me. I became a lawyer because you said teaching was settling. I worked 80-hour weeks for 10 years because you told me anything less was lazy. And when I finally won that case, the one you saw in the paper, the one I worked on for 3 years, the one that changed 400 families' lives, you compared me to Jasmine. I don't hate you, Mom. I'm just tired of never being enough. I spent my whole childhood waiting for you to say you were proud. Without a but after. I'm 42 years old. I have a husband who loves me, 2 beautiful kids, a career I'm proud of. But I still hear your voice in my head every time I accomplish something. That's nice, but I'm in therapy trying to silence that voice. I'm doing the work you never did, and I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I hope one day you'll see me, really see me, not as a reflection of your sacrifices, not as a project, not as potential, just as your daughter, who loves you, who always has, even when it hurt. Shanice. I folded the letter, handed it back. I couldn't speak. I wrote that 3 months ago, Shanice said, before your letter, before today. And now? I managed to ask. Now, she smiled. Now I think maybe you finally do see me. I reached across the table again. This time she took my hand. I do, baby. I see you. And I'm so proud of who you are. We sat there for another hour, talking, really talking. She told me about her therapy, about the patterns Dr. Okafor helped her see, about how she was learning to parent differently. I told her about Mama, about growing up never feeling good enough, about how I'd promised myself I'd be different, and how I'd failed. You weren't all bad, Mom, Shanice said gently. You gave me so much, a good education, opportunities, a strong work ethic. But I didn't give you softness, I said. No, you didn't. She squeezed my hand. But you're giving it to me now. Before we left, I asked her one more question. Can I come to Zara's art show? She mentioned she has one coming up. Shanice's eyes widened. You want to come? I do, if that's okay. She smiled. Yeah, Mom, that would be really nice. And Shanice? Yeah? I won't criticize. I won't compare. I'll just be there to support her. Shanice's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you. We stood up, hugged again. This time it felt different, lighter. I love you, Shanice. I love you too, Mama. 6 months later. I'm standing in a small art gallery in downtown Oakland. The walls are covered with paintings, photographs, mixed media pieces. And right in the center, in a place of honor, is Zara's exhibition. The title, 3 Women. I walk closer. There are 5 pieces total. But the centerpiece stops me in my tracks. It's a triptych. 3 portraits, side by side. On the left, my mother, Lorraine, painted from an old photograph I'd given Zara. Mama's face is stern, distant, but her eyes are sad. In the middle, me, Rudy, younger than I am now, maybe in my 40s. I'm looking off to the side, not at the viewer. My expression is determined, driven, but also lonely. On the right, Shanice. She's looking directly at the viewer. Her expression is softer than mine, warmer than Mama's. But the eyes are the same in all 3 portraits. Underneath, a small plaque. 3 women. We pass down what we don't heal, but we can also pass down healing. I stand there for a long time staring at those 3 faces. 3 generations of women who loved each other but didn't know how to say it. Until now. Do you like it, Grandma? I turn. Zara is standing next to me, nervous, excited. It's beautiful, baby. My voice cracks. It's perfect. Really? You don't think I should have done something more practical? She's teasing, but there's a real question underneath. No, I say firmly. I think you should do exactly what makes your heart sing. Her face lights up. Thanks, Grandma. That means a lot. I pull her into a hug. I'm proud of you, Zara. So proud. When we pull apart, she's crying. Happy tears. I love you, Grandma Rudy. I love you too, baby. Shanice walks over. She's been talking to some of Zara's teachers. Mom, did you see it? I did. What do you think? I look at the painting again. At Mama. At myself. At Shanice. I take a breath. I think she's right. We do pass down what we don't heal, but we can also pass down healing. Shanice smiles. Yeah, we can. Trevor joins us. Elijah is with him, looking bored but proud of his sister. Family photo? Trevor suggests, holding up his phone. We gather around Zara. Trevor sets the timer. We squeeze together. And right before the camera clicks, I do something I've never done before. I say out loud for everyone to hear, I'm so grateful for all of you. I love you so much. The camera clicks. Later, when I see the photo, I notice something. We're all smiling. Real smiles. And for the first time in a family photo with my daughter and granddaughter, I don't look tense. I look happy. That night, after the art show, Shanice invites me to dinner. Nothing fancy, she says. Just family dinner at our place. I'd love that. We go to their house. It's warm, lived in. The walls are covered with photos and kids' artwork. Shanice cooks. I help. We work side by side in the kitchen, talking about nothing important, just talking. At dinner, we sit around the table. Trevor, Shanice, Zara, Elijah, and me. Shanice asks everyone to share one good thing from their day. Elijah talks about a video game he beat. Zara talks about selling 3 paintings at the show. Trevor talks about a student who finally learned a difficult piece. Shanice talks about a new case she's working on. Then they all look at me. Grandma Rudy? Zara prompts. I think for a moment. Today I got to see my brilliant granddaughter's art. I got to have dinner with my family. And I got to say I love you without being afraid. There's a moment of silence. Then Shanice reaches over and squeezes my hand. We love you too, Mom. After dinner, I help with dishes. Shanice washes. I dry. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? Like, really happy? I think about it. Yeah, baby, I am. For the first time in a long time, I actually am. Good. She hands me a plate. You deserve to be. We work in comfortable silence for a while. Then Shanice says, You know, Dr. Alcafor wants me to bring you to a session sometime, if you're open to it. My first instinct is to say no, to get defensive. I don't need therapy. But I stop myself. Okay, I say. I'd like that. Shanice looks surprised. Really? Really. I want to keep learning. I want to keep doing better. She smiles. Thanks, Mom. Later that night, I'm back in my apartment, alone, but not lonely. I open the closet, pull down that old box of letters. I find the one Mama wrote me in 1975. Rudy, I know I'm hard on you. I just want you to be strong. This world doesn't forgive soft black women. Love, Mama. I read it again, and for the first time I understand. Mama wasn't cruel. She was scared. She was trying to protect me the only way she knew how, by making me hard, untouchable, perfect. But she didn't realize that in trying to protect me, she also isolated me. I pick up a pen, fresh paper, and I write a letter I'll never send. Dear Mama, I understand now. You loved me the only way you knew how. You gave me strength. You gave me drive. You gave me survival skills, but you couldn't give me what you never had. Softness, permission to be imperfect. The words I'm proud of you. I forgive you. I also forgive myself. For 40 years, I did to Shanice what you did to me. But the cycle stops here. Shanice is breaking it with her kids. And I'm learning, finally, what love looks like when it's not afraid. I wish you were here to see it. I wish I could hug you. Tell you I love you. Tell you that you were enough. Because you were, Mama. You were always enough. Love, your daughter, Rudy. I fold the letter, hold it to my chest. Then I put it in the box with all the others. The box of women who loved each other, but didn't know how to say it. Until now, 3 months later, I'm sitting in my kitchen. Same table, same chair, but everything is different. My phone rings. It's Shanice. Hey, Mom. Hi, baby. How are you? Good. Busy. I just wanted to call and say hi. I'm glad you did. We talk for 20 minutes. About nothing. About everything. She tells me about a case she's working on. I listen. I don't compare her to anyone. I just say, that sounds challenging. You're doing great work. She tells me Zara got accepted to an art school in San Francisco. I say, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for her. She tells me she had a hard day, that she snapped at the kids and felt guilty. I don't say, well, you need to be more patient. I say parenting is hard. You're doing your best, and your kids know you love them. Before we hang up, she says, I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. We hang up, and I sit there, smiling. My phone buzzes, a text from Zara. Grandma, check your email. I sent you something. I open my laptop. There's an email from Zara with an attachment. I click it. It's a digital version of her painting. 3 women, but she's added a fourth panel. On the far right, next to Shanice, Zara herself. She's smiling, open, free. And underneath, new text. 4 generations. The first didn't know how to speak love. The second learned too late. The third is learning now. The fourth will always know. I stare at it for a long time. Then I text back. This is beautiful, baby. I'm so proud of you. I love you. She responds immediately. Love you too, Grandma. I close my laptop. Look around my small apartment. The same apartment I've lived in for 40 years. The same kitchen where I sat in the dark 6 months ago, wondering why my daughter didn't love me anymore. But now I know. She always loved me. She just needed me to love her the way she needed to be loved. Not through sacrifice, not through pushing, not through perfection, but through seeing her, hearing her, holding her, and telling her every single day, you are enough. My mother never told me she loved me. I never told my daughter I loved her, not the way she needed. But my granddaughter, she'll never wonder, because Shanice learned what I didn't. You can break a cycle you didn't start. It took me 68 years to learn that love isn't just sacrifice. Love isn't just working hard. Love is also soft. Love is saying, I'm proud of you, without a but. Love is listening without fixing. Love is seeing your child for who they are, not who you need them to be. I don't know if I'll ever be the mother Shanice deserved. But I'm trying to be the grandmother Zara needs, and that's enough. Because healing doesn't erase the hurt, but it stops the hurt from repeating. I stand up, walk to the window, look out at the Oakland streets I've called home for 45 years. The sun is setting, the sky is pink and orange, and for the first time in my life, I feel something I've never felt before. Peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because I finally stopped trying to be. Tomorrow, Shanice and I are having coffee again. Same place, same time. But this time, we're not meeting to fight or fix or explain. We're just meeting to be together. Mother and daughter. Enough.